2, 1.
Hi, I'm Joe, and this is the third video in our travel trailer conversion. Today I wanted to demystify the water system. We get a lot of questions about it, and I have to say it's really not that complicated, but there are some nuances, and there's some things that we did that we liked and some things that we didn't like. So I want to go over those with you. We have a 25-gallon water jug here, and it's fed with a gravity feed, and we have city water hookup, so I can hook a hose up to it. Pretty simple. Fits underneath here. It's really heavy, so it's one of the big considerations is how much water we could take versus how much weight we could actually have. Water is 8.8 pounds per gallon, and we figure that at full 25 gallons it's just over 200 pounds worth of weight, so we had to be a little bit cautious on going too heavy with that. From there, let's move into our utility closet. This houses all of our plumbing. The first thing you'll notice, obviously, is this 5-gallon jug that's in the front. I used a clear bucket for it so we could see how much water we're using. This is our gray water setup. I didn't want to put an exterior gray water. It just seemed like more of a headache. This actually ends up working pretty well. It fits perfectly into space, and after a fire, all I have to do is pull this flex tube out, and I have plenty of water to put a fire out. We have what's called the XL LP Ventless Tankless instant hot water heater, and this little sucker works pretty good. It's almost too hot when this thing's fired up. The water is literally steaming as it comes out, so we have it turned down pretty far. It works in conjunction with, we have a 55 psi pump in the back that supplies water through there for our pressure, and it supplies hot water for our sink and our shower. We have an outdoor shower that I'll show you a little bit later. We have using that XL heater, we have to be careful with being LP and also the CO, so we installed a monitor down at the bottom, and it does both. We found that the onboard sensor on it's pretty sensitive too. When we take a shower, we found that if this door isn't open, that it trips itself a little bit. I've seen a lot of videos of guys installing a fresh air vent system in here, and we may go to that, but for right now, just opening the door seems to solve that problem. All of our water is supplied via a Volterra gravity feed and city water hookup. This has been the only issue with this whole system so far. The city water hookup that came with the Volterra was this plastic fitting, and to be perfectly honest, it was just garbage. It leaked all over the place, and I'll show you how I ended up fixing that. We overdid the sizing for our gravity feed, and it works really well. I've actually found that just running the hose directly into that is just fine. I opted to not hook up the vent, the optional vent that comes with it. I don't want to poke another hole into my tank, and just opening the other line is just fine. As you'll notice, I'll have two shut-off valves on here, and what these are for is so that I can isolate, do I either fill the tank or do I supply pressure to my system and bypass the pump. So in this position here, I have water running through for the from the city hookup, and right now the way I have it configured is I have city water pressure off, and I have a pressure fill for the tank setup going. So you look down here, we have our gas line coming in. The way I routed that was, I didn't really like what a lot of other people were doing. The flexible stainless steel gas lines that you see at the big box stores, they're not really rated for vibrations. So it seemed like the two options were to go with a rubber hose or copper. And I think if I was to do this again, I would probably go with copper. Just for simplicity, because right now I have rubber hose coming from my propane tank to black iron pipe underneath my trailer to rubber hose going into my system. I opted for heavy duty hosing that I had custom made at a hose shop here locally in Spokane, and so far it's worked great. The install on it was pretty simple. You can go online and watch a ton of videos on people testing this stuff. I opted for 2 shut-off valves, and when not in use, both valves are off. I'll go outside and we'll show you the different ports that we have and how I solved the Volterra crappy inlet. So I ended up putting a metal city water hookup on here, and it works pretty darn well. It doesn't leak like the Volterra did. I cranked it down super tight and it seems to be holding really, really well. You have a gravity fill port, and you have the city water port, like I said, and it's really simple to use. The only thing you want to do is, if you have the hose plugged in here, you want this open, and if you're pouring into your gravity feed, you want this open, and there's no need for a vent right here. I actually don't like that. I think I'm going to silicone that closed, because what I found was when I was messing with the city water hookup and the original fitting that leaked all over the place, I was getting water coming back through the vent line, and I don't like that. So like, if the hose kinks or whatever, bends, you get a leak in here and you don't catch it, you're gonna have water potentially coming in through this little vent line here. I don't really like that. I have to say though, it doesn't quite fit as well as I would like it to. Once I put this guy back on, he kind of sticks out a little bit, but it is what it is. Better than nothing. Out here we have our shower, and we really like this guy. It was really nice to take a shower this past weekend out in the woods. Never been able to do that before, and we picked this guy up on Amazon as well. I don't know the name of it, I'll post that later, but it works pretty well, and it's got an on and off function, so you can shut it off and really conserve water. Back in the military we called them sea showers, where you spritz off, turn it off, lather up, rinse it off, and it works really well. It doesn't use very much water. It's low flow. On top of that, worked really well. Here's the other aspect of our gas system that we have that I showed you earlier. We got a mounting bracket. I didn't really like, well, I still don't like any of the mounts that I found for a gas tank, so I decided that I'm not going to travel with this on this port because it's too shaky. Granted, it's not locked down right now, but it still had too much wiggle room. I didn't really want it to damage the trailer. I ended up mounting the regulator on the side, and I have a little fitting that closes down over everything to keep it all clean. It mounts just on the side, protected while driving with this band, and on the underside, as you'll see, we have black iron pipe supported going into our gas line, and that about sums it up.